Greetings and welcome back to The Angry Chicken, the podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, and with me as always is Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. Welcome back, guys.
Ew.
Hey.
Hello, hello.
9 episodes a month. Here we go.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, actually, it's not incorrect. Not incorrect at all.
We're going to get to 200 real fast.
We are. We're going to get there so fast that it's not going to really be like a momentous occasion. We're just going to be like, yeah.
And it's tired to celebrate this.
And it's episode 200. We randomly had Ben Brode on episode 183 and a half because that's just how the timing worked out. And on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's actually what happened on the instance. I got to be honest. It was like, yay, 100. Yay, 200. It was like, yeah, 300. Okay. We knew it was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
It was inevitable.
Aren't you up close to 400 now?
It's over 400 now.
Over
it's like
400 now? Oh, I'm so behind.
It's over 420, actually.
What?
Smoke him if you got him. Yeah, the most recent episode was 426.
Yep.
Oh, God, I'm so far behind.
We're now doing an episode every 2 weeks.
So it all evens out then.
Yeah. What do they call it? Pod fading? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I feel like that's a bit of an overreach, but yeah.
No, it's true. Yeah, but we are pod ramping over here.
Yes.
I did
we're
actually.
like the druids of the podcasting world. We've innovated wild growth and played Darnassus Aspirant.
Does anyone have any extra mana? Because I'm kind of dying over here.
I actually did have a podcast pod fade. We just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had like 3 of those.
A Move Radio.
You know?
We just let it fade out. We never had a definitive last episode.
What about Campaign Roundtable? Bring that back, dude.
Well, that had a season, and then no one actually listened to it, so we didn't make another season. So
that's usually how that works. Actually, that's not a rare occurrence. Yeah.
I still believe in the idea of that show, and it will come back at some point in the probably very distant future where I find the time for it because I love the idea of it so much. But
it's a great idea.
But yeah, just didn't go anywhere.
That's like 99% of podcasts, though.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
Yeah.
It's very rare you like find the spark and the gold and whatever it is that makes it all work.
I also find it strange that it was like my third podcast. Like the first 2 did okay. That third one though, no one gave a flying crap about.
Oh man.
Third time was not a charm.
No, it wasn't. First time was okay. Second time went well.
I shouldn't start anything else because I
Nope.
like my game
You've
has
reached
been
the
going
limit.
since I started, and Angry Chicken's been going since it started. So I should just stop.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Okay.
Or just join other people's shows. Like
No,
don't
that doesn't
don't
count.
take
Okay, so I
ownership
just can't
of it.
create
Yeah.
anything else. Okay.
Yeah,
Once
don't-
you get past 3, the next ones will all be good. But just the third
Oh,
one, just
okay.
know it's going to suck. So start with
Alright.
people you don't really like. Just crap out a few episodes and then move on.
All right. Perfect.
There you go. Exactly. Do one about, I don't know, what's something you really don't like, Jocelyn? Halo. Do one about Halo.
Oh yeah, that would crash and burn so hard.
Yeah. See, I
You should do your own Heroes of the Storm podcast where you're like, I don't want to play this. Can we play Smite instead? And then like end of the podcast.
Perfect.
Podcast over.
We also need one more Heroes of the Storm show advertised at the end of this. We should just add Scott
know,
as
right?
as a fourth host, and then we'll have
Let's start advertising Scott's new show at the end of this. Too,
Yeah.
just for the hell of it.
Yeah, exactly. Check out the core, everyone. Anyways, speaking of our patrons who are directly responsible for all of the extra episodes we are doing now, if you are a patron, actually, and even if you're not a patron of this show, if you're just a patron in general, if you use Patreon in any way, shape, or form, they were hacked last week, everyone. So if you support us through Patreon, or if you don't, but if you support someone else through Patreon, you should go change your password.
Yes.
Or even if you're not supporting anyone, just if you've ever opened an account.
Logged into
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Yep. If you have a Patreon account,
Yeah.
maybe you.
But apparently they didn't like lose like bank account numbers and all that stuff. All that stuff is
No.
still encrypted. It was really just email addresses and like some of your information like
Right.
that.
They even said that the passwords were encrypted, but just to be safe,
Yes.
change your
Might as well.
passwords. We have a direct link to the post from patreon.com, a letter from the guy that runs it, to about everything that happened. If you haven't read it already, chances are you probably, you're probably aware, but just in case, wanted to let everyone know, go change your passwords over at Patreon. And if you have If you use the same password, which is a huge no-no, with the same email address that you have the account for, you should probably change the address over there as well.
I use the same password for everything.
Do you really?
Password, but I put the number 3 at the end instead of 1.
Oh.
Totally throws everyone off. Yeah.
That's an excellent plan.
Now everyone knows how it works.
No. No one listens to this.
I use LastPass, and so I don't even know what my passwords are, which was a little bit scary at first. But I'm just like, if someone held a gun to my head and was like, "What's your bank account password?" I'm like,
Totally plausible, actually. That could happen.
There's a scenario, though, where they might just shoot you in that scenario because you didn't give them any information.
Uh-oh.
So you'd have to give them your LastPass password.
I'm not even sure if I know that anymore. I just have to give them my
a
thumb
problem.
because, well, no, because it's tied to my thumbprint thing on my iPhone.
All right,
It's called
everyone.
Touch ID.
If you want to rob Jocelyn digitally, you will need to procure her thumb.
Yep. Gotta get her thumb somehow.
Yep.
Oh man.
I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely
I've
wonderful.
said too much.
If you want to get into my stuff, just type in password 3.
Yeah.
Leave me with
You
my
have
thumb.
to chop off Jocelyn's hand and steal her phone to get her stuff.
Well, that's just wonderful. Anyways, this is a nice short week for pre-roll information that we need to give you before we jump into the news. So let's jump into it.
Good news, everyone!
The BlizzCon Regional Championship, guys, they're winding down. The Asia Pacific Championship and the EU Championship took place this last weekend, so we have our top 4 from both of those. So
The only one left now is NA, which is this coming weekend.
yep, which you are going to.
I will be there.
I believe that you
so
procured yourself a press pass, and you will be
I did.
heading
Yeah.
on over there.
So I'm gonna bring a recorder with me and see if I can get some of the players to talk to me about, whatever. We'll just talk about whatever they're doing that day. They had for breakfast. Well, I don't know.
Nothing Hearthstone
but-
related. You're gonna ask them their favorite color, favorite sandwich, where they get their hair cut,
Yep, exactly.
what they thought of
but
Inception.
it's
Who
gonna be
they're
cool.
wearing? Who they're wearing?
Who they're wearing? Very
that's an
good.
important
Trump is probably gonna be wearing Trump. I'm gonna guess because yeah, I'm really excited to try to talk to Trump, Hot Form, Jab. I mean, all those guys. There's a lot of really good players, and I'm excited to see it all go down. It's 2 days, and it's free if you don't. I mean, I have like a whatever, so I can talk to people, but people don't have. There's no tickets. Just show up early, like 10 a.m. is I think when they open the doors and stuff. So if you want to go, it's at the Foundry. Just show up early and get in the line. And you'll get in. It's kind of the same way they did the announcement, like where it was just first come, first serve. So it's a pretty big place, but I expect a lot of people to come. There's a lot of Hearthstone players in San Francisco, apparently. So come on out. Hang out with me. Jury will be there. He's my date.
Nice.
Me and Jury going to be
gonna
talk to town in there.
He gonna
But,
tickle
yeah.
you with his beard?
Yep.
I guess
Oh,
you're
yeah.
gonna tickle each other with your beards, but his will win.
This is true. But it's
Oh,
gonna
man.
be good times. So please come hang out with me. I would enjoy to see all you guys.
Lovely. Well, spoiler alert, we're going to tell you who's in the top 4 from Asia Pacific and Europe right now. Asia Pacific, we had Nilio and Pinping Ho take 3rd and 4th place. We had No take 2nd place, and we had Kranich take 1st place in the Asia Pacific Championship. Those are your Asia Pacific champions. Ah.
I've actually heard all these names before now. Like now I actually know who these guys are, and I remembered like hearing about them from other places, and this is kind of a theme so far. It's like all the big names are getting in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BlizzCon's crazy.
Kranich was there last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's the only guy who's actually going back, like back-to-back BlizzCon appearances, which is quite a
So
quite a
far,
feat.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
There's still
well,
a
no,
possibility
nobody-
of it.
I think Jab I think got to like some regional something, but I don't think he actually was at BlizzCon last year. So I think Kranich is the only guy that can actually do it.
Yeah, Kranich
Wow.
placed in the top 4 last year.
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
was at BlizzCon,
Yeah.
right? So Jab did get very far last year, but I don't think I think he got knocked out in like this phase, right? Whatever this last phase is. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the European top 4 was Life Coach and Ostkaka in 3rd and 4th place. Niera took 2nd, and Tice took 1st place.
Yep.
Congrats to I'm such a Tice fan. I was very happy
I know,
to see
and
that.
he looked so adorable when he was up on stage. Like he was just so happy to have won, and like, 'cause he got kicked out like right. He was ended up being one of the alternates for BlizzCon last year, I think. Like he was kicked out right at the very end of everything, all the qualifiers. So he was just like elated on stage, and I was like, "Oh, you're my favorite ever."
Quite a month for him. I mean,
Yeah.
winning the ATLC and then winning this.
Yeah,
Neil.
it's a yeah, it's a big.
You
big
could
year
have-
for them.
You could
Yeah.
have better months. I mean, you could have better
Yeah, that's
rounds.
I mean, you could also go on to win BlizzCon. That would be. You know.
I would say, winning the. I guess do we say one of the biggest or like tied for the biggest? Because ATLC had the same prize pool. Granted, it was.
But you split it up with your teammates.
Yeah, that's right. So technically, I guess I guess it depends on how you decide to slice it, but.
He wins this, it's all his. He gets to
Yeah.
keep the whole thing.
So he just I don't know. Does he get to wear like Firebat as a hat if he does that? like, do you get to like run around wearing last year's winner if you achieve such an incredible feat?
Yeah, that's how all this kind of stuff works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
And
Every
now,
time the Giants won the World Series, they got to wear the other team as a hat.
yeah. That's terrible. I've definitely had better jokes before. So.
Dad jokes. They're already starting, buddy.
I'm
All
not-
you're doing is getting married. You don't even have kids
Yeah.
yet.
That is-
It's already happened.
I'm not sure that's a dad joke, but
I think it's just a bad joke.
I think it's just
close.
bad. There's a difference. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
So now they'll do a show match where it's like Mortal Kombat. All right, so Tice is your new victor. He will now fight to the death against last year's victor Firebat. And a thunder
Then
gun.
once we get the next week over, we'll actually be able to start making some real predictions here. But do you have a favorite out of either of these two? The guy that you think is going to go the farthest? I'm really looking forward to Tice, obviously, but I have a feeling Life Coach could be he's just so steady, you know?
He is. I'm surprised that he finished, I guess, as lowly as he did. Like I'm surprised he dropped a game to put him down into the losers bracket of EU. I think he's such a strong player, and the two of them together, Life Coach and Tice. I mean, we saw it in ATLC. They have such a good relationship. They work so well together. They're great teammates. So I think just the two of them working together now that they're both going to BlizzCon, I think we should expect great things out of both of them.
Oh, absolutely. I think, and I don't know how they're going to do the groups, but I feel like they're going to separate them out because I don't know. We'll have to see exactly how it all gets drawn up because I haven't actually seen what they do. But it would be kind of weak, I think, to have all four of these guys just in a group with each other, right? Like I'd like to see some crossover where you can potentially get guys from the same group in the finals. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they're separating them out.
Okay. I hope so. All this stuff is so complicated, you guys. Like we described it all last time, but it's like I have so little information on how it's all going down. I'm going to try to talk to some people when I get there because I know some of the Blizzard Esports people are going to be there. Robert Wing will be there. Get to talk to him.
Yeah.
The Robert Wing.
Thank you. So I'm excited to see him. I haven't seen him since last year's BlizzCon, so it'll be exciting to talk to him. And I'll ask all these questions, the hard-hitting questions.
By the way, I go for Kranich as my pick, man.
Okay.
He got so close last year. I think he wants it super bad. He 3-0 no in the finals.
Yeah.
He was first out of Group B. I'm going with Kranich.
I think Ping Ping Ho is considered like maybe the favorite as far as past results and stuff, but he's also known as a guy who brings a lot of weird, funky decks. And he kind of got crushed by the super standard Patron Druid Warlock combination that pretty much everybody was running, which is another conversation all in itself. It's a little bit like the tournament meta is really stale right now, and it's a little bit unfortunate because I just feel like everybody's got the same, like a similar lineup. The only real differences you're seeing are some people are playing like a tempo mage maybe, but I feel like even a year ago, while we did still see a lot of Druid and stuff, I feel like we had a little more variety. Some people were playing some weirder decks, but it's just like, nope, Rogue's not a thing, Shaman's not a thing, Priest isn't a thing. It's just like maybe a Pally gets thrown in every now and then. It's a little rough. I'm not sure how Blizzard can do anything about it this close, or if they should, but I don't know. Did you guys notice that at all?
No, I'm completely with you. I gotta say I'm a little less hyped for the finals this year If I'm completely leveling with you, I'm really stoked for the Heroes finals. New game, new finals, new tournament.
There's no real established meta like that's been around this long, right? So
right, but I mean, there's a meta in Heroes. Like I kind of know what to expect, but at the same time,
it shuffles more often, I think, than the Hearthstone one does.
And you have bans,
now.
so things get crazy. And I don't necessarily want bans brought back into Hearthstone. I did not like that. Although right now it's so stale, I'm kind of like, sure, bring bans back. I just don't want to see Patron Warrior anymore.
Yeah. But there was an argument I heard. Can't remember where I was watching. I think it was on Value Town because Chanman's brought Value Town back. So
yeah,
anybody who's a fan of that, you should go check it out. It's back. He's gonna start doing it weekly again. But they were talking about it. Some of the pros were saying, well, we don't really think that Patron's overpowered. We just think it's a really strong deck and it has these like really powerful moves it can do. But overall, it's not gonna win every time. And we've seen that. It's true. It's not gonna win every time. But it is really powerful, so you are gonna see it a lot. And that's I think really where the problem comes in. Just when all the decks are these decks are too powerful to not use, and anybody who tries to do something different gets punished for it. I think that's the problem, right?
Right. No, I mean it's kind of. I mean, I don't know. Like for me as a spectator, I'm just kind of tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. Like I'm not necessarily like disagreeing with the pros saying like, oh, I don't want to see it because it's overpowered. I don't want to see it because I'm just sick of seeing it.
Yeah,
like I've seen it enough.
We have the same problem now because Patron is so powerful that we did before with the old system where we just see like one person play one deck because you didn't have to switch it up. So, I mean, there's got to be a way around it. And also, I'm just looking now at the BlizzCon. We forgot that there's China, too. There's 4 players from China, so there's probably going to be one person from... Yeah, so there's probably going to be one person from each region in each group, I would think.
That would make sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd like try to pair the 1s with 4s and stuff like that. So that advantage, yeah. But it is kind of true that it's not necessarily a matter of being overpowered. It's a matter of like how interesting is it, and what are the variations you can put. It's like, oh, well, I put a Harrison Jones in my deck, and that's like all the tech choices you really get now.
So innovative.
You're not seeing some of these crazy plays. It's gotten so perfected now at this point, and I don't know what the answer is to that to like shake things up. But I was watching the SCG Open on Twitch the other day, which they do like pretty much every week. It's Magic, and there's a brand new set of cards out, right?
Yep.
So everything is fresh, and everyone's trying all kinds of crazy new stuff. We just got rid of like a whole bunch of cards that some of those were like really powerful. Like Corsair Crewfix is like no longer a thing now in standard, right? You can't do that, and that was a card that you saw constantly.
Yep.
And that card was like a deck maker, right? And then now it's gone, so everyone has to try something new, and it was really exciting for me to see what the people are coming up with.
Yeah, and it's just strange because we've had this conversation. I feel like this conversation comes up every 6 months or something, at least on this show. It's always
really get deep into esports,
right? But it's always going around in terms of like the Hearthstone community as large. Like everyone's always like the question every time we have Ben Brode on and we ask for questions. Everyone always asks, "Are you guys thinking about a Magic-like system? What happens when there's too many cards? Are you going to have blocks? Are things going to fall off?" And they've never given a straight answer about that other than, of course, we're thinking about what we're going to do when too many cards are out. But that's all they tell us. So all we do is sit here and wonder and hope and think about what it could be. But
yeah. But that thing, like watching Magic when a new set comes out and an old set goes away, is really cool. Right?
Yeah.
Like that little bit of the game. And then after a while, it gets stale just like this. But I think it's really just because the old cards are still around, and so TGT cards, you really only saw Paladin change, like Darnassus Aspirant. What else made it in?
You're seeing little tweaks here and there,
Yeah.
with the exception of Patron, which just hasn't changed at all, and it's still one of the most dominant decks.
Yeah. What's Patron gonna put in? Like bolster? Like, yeah, I'm running bolster now. Like, by the way, Kibler today was playing Hobgoblin bolster deck, and actually winning some games.
Really?
Yeah. It was kind of cool because so like they both buff dudes, so you can play all these weak dudes, and you have 2 different ways to actually activate them, right? So if you have bolster, that's good for your Annoyotrons. If you have Hobgoblin, it's good for your Annoyotrons. So unfortunately, he had to put Goldshire Footman in the deck, which I think made the deck a lot weaker, but regardless, still interesting.
Yeah. Also, you heard it here first. Dills likes buff dudes.
I like to buff my dudes, man.
Yeah.
Get them all swole up.
That sounds really fun. And actually sounds super fun. I'm gonna have to dig that up. I didn't see that today. I want to try that deck now.
Yeah, it's pretty. He's been tweaking it all day. It does have some weaknesses. I was thinking about it as I was watching. I was like, the problem here is that you rely on you getting the board and then keeping it. And if you ever lose it, you have no way to get it back. Like, there's no brawl. There's like 2 executes. There's no other removal. So, but it's an interesting idea, and I quite like seeing people do stuff like this. He's like climbing the ladder with it too. It's not like he reached legend and isn't going to get anywhere. He's like rank 15. He's like, no, this is how I'm going to climb. Like, I'm going to play Hobgoblin Bolster. And I hope we see something weird in the BlizzCon finals. That's all I'm saying.
I hope so too. You know, usually, especially like Asia Pacific and China, like regions that we as North American kind of Hearthstone fans pay a little less attention to. A lot of times when you get them in the mix, you do start to see at least slight variations on kind of given archetypes. So I'm hoping that we see some of that, but I don't really know at this point.
Yeah. I think the problem is when you bring something weird, it's great the first time you play it, but then once everyone sees it, then they can just counter it, right?
Yeah.
But if you just play like the well-known deck that you know is good, then sure the other guy knows what's in it, but it's good. It's good for a reason. So it doesn't matter that they know as much. But yeah, interesting.
Yep.
It'll be interesting.
Worst case scenario, if you're a little, if you're like me and you're a little burnt out on the current meta, hopefully we'll see a lot of tempo mage. So at the very least, some unstable portal can shake things up.
We'll see some flame cannons that might miss and some unstable portals, and yeah, it'll be at least arcane missiles. There'll be some interesting turns.
So thankful for RNG.
Yeah, I was playing some Patron today because I had the quest, and I killed a guy who had 48 health, and I was like, that didn't feel good to me, man. I mean, like it was stressful trying to get all my patrons to attack before the rope went, but it just felt gross. I was like, this doesn't. I don't like this. I don't like that this is the thing.
Yeah, it's I don't know. We joke about it, RNG as like when I'm playing the game can definitely drive me up a wall, but when I'm watching it, love it.
Yeah, totally. Like, I want to see some crazy stuff go down.
Yeah. Before we move into this week's strategy segment, let's thank our patrons. Hopefully we're not affected by the hack this week. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. If you want to become an Angry Chicken patron, head on over to patreon.com/TAC. And this week we wanted to thank Max P, Marcus O, Matthew R, Scott P, and John T. Thank you all so much for supporting the Angry Chicken. And now I'm wishing it was somewhat like iTunes reviews and I could just pick out like something clever someone wrote. But that now we only get to laugh at like listening to patron names when they do a really clever name.
Well, I got some ideas. We'll talk.
Oh, okay.
We can spice that up. I think we have one more piece of news, don't we?
Yeah, Garrett, you totally skipped over
did
Japan.
I? Did I? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's because it's not that interesting. Japan.
It's a thing, though.
Hearthstone is coming to Japan, which is
They never actually had an
strange.
official launch.
Yeah, no, they didn't. Plenty of people in Japan can play Hearthstone, but it's not localized to Japan. So Japan is finally getting a fully localized version of Hearthstone. So the only thing that made me laugh about this was, hey guys, I'm looking forward to a Noyotron emotes that I can look up that say Konnichiwa.
Yeah, a whole new set of voice acting. It's exciting. I guess that means like I can start another account on the Japanese servers. Looking forward to that. But yeah, no, it's cool. It's good. I think Japan is a country I was surprised wasn't part of the original launch of Hearthstone because I would have figured that they would love it there. But glad that they're finally here, so that's cool.
Yeah,
good job.
Keep
expand.
I was surprised as well, but great for Japan. For me, it's like, well, it's coming to another country. That's yeah.
But for our Japanese listeners,
Yes.
congratulations.
Also,
Be prepared.
Also, way to go on learning like another language fluently enough that you understand a podcast like this.
Yeah.
Because I have not done that, so good for you. All right, let's move into this week's strategy talk.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
Welcome to this week's strategy section, and we're doing something a little different today. Actually, we had a caller kind of call in and suggest this, and we've also talked about doing this earlier, and for whatever reason just never did. And it was a slower news week, so we're like, well, why not? We are going to build a deck, the three of us together right now, in what I want to affectionately call Cluck the Meta, because we're going to build a rogue deck, because rogues are not very popular right now. And I believe, guys, we're going with a pirate theme.
Oh, we are. Can't
Okay.
you see in the notes? It says Yar.
Well, so there's still oil rogue is a thing.
Yeah.
You can do oil rogue. It's not very strong. And I have seen people do some pirate stuff. I think there's some space there. I tried out pirates. They actually were okay. I had a winning record, but I just threw something together that somebody else had. So I think it's cool for just try something different. Let's all three of us talk over things and see what we end up with.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you're watching the video version, I'm using Hearthstone deck tracker, and if you're wondering why I'm doing that instead of having Hearthstone open, it's because I don't have every card in the game.
Yeah,
So,
and we just want to make sure we don't have any limitations here, and we can just put whatever we want in.
So I just popped open Hearthstone deck tracker. If you're wondering what I'm using, that's what I'm using. Great app, by the way. Go check it out.
And we are not pro players, too. So keep in mind that we're making a deck. We're not trying to break the meta here, although that would be cool if it happened.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna make what
just
we
playing
think is
around.
probably a good pirate deck, and I think we'll come up with something here.
Disclaimer. Yeah. It's like we're before you send your emails, people who don't know what the show is about. No, we're not. We're not sitting here being like, yeah, this is going to get you to legend. We are here to try and build a deck
Have
that
some fun.
we're trying to build a pirate rogue deck that doesn't suck. That's our only goal here. Not sucking. That's the goal.
So I have a suggestion just to start.
Okay.
I think this deck must have Captain Greenskin.
Oh, I was gonna say the Sky Captain, because
Captain Greenskin. Okay.
We could do the Sky Captain too. I don't think the Sky Captain's actually that good, but he's a
I
pirate
guess
riding
it
a
depends.
parrot, so.
Maybe we can leave him to the end because he is a pirate riding a parrot, and it would just warm my heart if we
Okay.
put him in there. I think we see how many other pirates we can get in to see if he's
Yeah.
going to be viable.
So
or
for
not.
those unaware or who came in late, there is another legendary pirate, and his name is Captain Greenskin.
Yes.
He has 5 attack, 4 health, and his battle cry gives your weapon +1/+1. Actually, kind of great for
Yeah,
rogue
really
because
good
of
in the
their
rogue
hero
deck.
power.
So turn your hero power into 2/3, and then of course rogue has all kinds of other ways to buff up their hero or their weapons, which I think honestly, because of some of the other synergies that pirates have, we should probably be like a weapon focused deck with minions, our minion base being pirates. Right?
I would agree with that as well, although I'm not sure because of the way rogue works. I don't think I'd actually put a lot of weapons in. I think I'd put a lot of things that buff my weapon, kind of like an oil rogue. Although,
We have a weapon. We
right.
have a hero
Yes.
power that is a
All right.
weapon.
However, I would make an argument. Assassin's Blade, maybe a one of.
I think a one of Assassin's Blade is great because it gives you, you start at 3, and then if you oil an Assassin's Blade, or even Deadly Poison it, that could just be your finishing damage. Like that could be a win condition right there. So yeah, I totally agree. I think one Assassin's Blade. You never want 2 of those.
What
It's got
say
4
what say you,
targets.
Jocelyn?
I had to look it up because I thought for a second Assassin's Blade was the really, really terrible one that everyone was pissed off about.
No,
from,
that's Poison
Poison
Blade,
Blades.
and that
Yeah.
can go straight in your dust pile.
Yeah.
No,
So
Assassin's.
yeah, no, I think Assassin's Blade, that's the 3/4, right?
Yeah, three
Yeah,
three attack,
3/4.
4 durability, costs 5 mana.
And if you
Sounds
can get
good.
that Captain Greenskinned, well, that is quite a formidable. That's a 4/5 weapon
Yeah.
right there. So
All right.
it's pretty
That's like
sick. Turn 10.
Death Bite times 2 plus 1.
That's like super true silver champion.
Yeah.
All right, so now we should probably figure out put in the Sky Captain. Let's start with the Sky Captain in.
We're really putting Sky Crab and Crag in here.
Yeah, let's put him in.
All right. Are
All
we
right,
allow-
now-
are we allowing ourselves to remove things later on if we decide,
Yes.
oh God, what did I do last night? I drank too much.
Yes,
mean
yes,
every
we
day
can go
here?
back.
All right, so I think when you're making a theme deck like this, like if you're making like a demon warlock or you're making like a dragon priest or something, I think the key is to figure out, like, you can't just like search dragon, search demon, search pirate, and then just put them all in. You got to like kind of figure out which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones, because there are good and bad ones, right?
Yeah, you have to think about synergies in constructed
Yeah.
Hearthstone because you only have 30 cards. You're only ever going to pull cards you can, in theory, use. So you should think of synergies and combos. Especially with Rogue, you should absolutely be thinking of combinations.
So if we're a weapon-based deck, we definitely want to have, like, I think the weapon, like, enhanced pirates, right? So
yeah, so...
Bloodsail Raider is, I think, definitely going in, which is the 2/3 that gets buffed by the amount you... So that's, I mean, in most cases, going to be a 3/3 for 2.
Yeah,
right?
so we think of 2 of?
Oh, yeah.
It's a good. It's a solid 2-drop. If you get coined, you could coin out your weapon and on turn 2 play a 3/3.
Yeah, which is
really
a
wanted
totally
to.
fine play. Yeah, like against Hunter, you're probably going to kill their 1-drop, and then you're going to have a 3/3 in play that's going to do whatever. So, I think that's great.
Gotcha. Taking a step back, or I guess kind of keep going on that. What other pirates are buffed by weapons? Oh,
Well, there's the Buccaneer,
Yeah,
which is
the
the new one. Oh yeah, South Sea Deckhand.
South Sea Deckhand. Yeah, the
the one
2/1
that
with
has charge.
charge.
The charge with your... And
Yeah.
that's actually... I think that potentially this could be a 1-of, but I would say just start with 2. But this is a great way to start your combo on oil as well.
I was about to say, yeah. So if we're including South Sea Deckhand, we have to include oil. Also, we're playing a rogue. We have to include oil.
I think we need 2 oils, yeah.
The problem with Rogue, too, I think we're going to run into, and we'll have to figure this out in a second, but there's so many cards you kind of have to have in Rogue, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to have Backstab, you have to have Eviscerate, and then so we got to, like, figure out how to fit them all in. We'll get there. I think right now, like, the minion base is a good place to start. But I agree. I think 2 deckhands, and I also think we should put in the new pirate, the Buccaneer.
The Buccaneer. So we haven't really talked much about this card, so I'm going to read it off real quick. It is another 1-mana minion. It is a pirate. It has 2 attack, 1 health, and it reads, whenever you equip a weapon, give it +1 attack.
Yeah. So if you play this on turn 1, it basically says, has taunt. And they will do anything they can to kill it, which is, even if they do kill it, they spend time and resources killing it, which means they're probably not playing something on turn 2. Or they're probably not playing something on their turn 1, and then you can play something on turn 2, and you'll have the lead. And if they don't deal with it, you just play your weapon on turn 2, and it's a 2-attack weapon right away. So
it's not it's not dissimilar from like Mech Shaman with the Whirling Zap-O-Matic. It's like, well, I'm going to play this, and if they don't have an answer, they're in trouble. If they do have an answer, whatever, move on. They spent a turn dealing with it.
Exactly. Now Rogues have a couple other pirates, but I don't think these ones are good enough. So I don't know what you guys' thoughts on, but the One-Eyed Cheat and the Shady Dealer, I don't think these are good enough because I think the Shady Dealer takes up a spot that I would rather have an SI7 agent in.
Yeah, I forget what the Shady Dealer does, so I'm going to read it real quick. Battlecry, if you have a pirate game +1/+1, it's a 3-mana minion with 4 attack and 3 health. So
yeah,
it has an extra stat and a Battlecry, but yeah.
So you have to have a pirate in play. Right?
Yeah, you make a good point. Yeah, you have to have a pirate already on board. And and we were just talking about what are the required for rogues. And SI7 agent is a minion that's very hard to replace, and I'm not sure Shady Dealer replaces it. I straight up don't think it does. I would rather have a minion like SI7 agent that could potentially remove another threat when it comes into play.
Yeah, it does something, right?
Yeah,
and then if this guy, like if you play this guy naked, it's a 4/3, which I think in most cases is actually the same as a 3/3. And on turn 3, like you're not getting much more value out of the 4/3. You're only going to get value if you can actually make this the 5/4.
Right.
And that might be kind of hard to do. I mean, sure, sometimes you'll be able to pull it off and it'll be cool, but then it'll just die to piloted shredder anyway. So what the hell, you know?
So does this mean we're putting 2 SI7 agents in here right now just because we can't stop singing its praises?
Yeah, Jocelyn, you have a thought on that?
Well, and I should preface this whole deck building with I'm not a rogue player. But, what about instead of SI7 if we stick with like the pirate theme and use ship's cannon instead? Because that has the 2 damage. It's random,
yes,
but it does have that pirate synergy.
Well, I think we have both of those things in. I don't think that because ship's cannon's a 2-mana card, so that gives us 4 2-drops with Bloodsail Raiders and ship's cannon. So I don't think they have to be exclusive to each other. I think we can have it all in there.
I like that. And again, just to remind our
As long as there's room.
There will be.
Yeah.
We'll make it.
Yeah. So ship's cannon.
There will be room, Jocelyn.
For those who don't remember, ship's cannon is a 2/3 minion. It costs 2 mana, and it deals 2 damage to a random enemy whenever you summon a pirate.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you can do stuff like ship's cannon, South Sea Deckhand on turn 3, which similar to like what you're saying. Oh, that's like your SI7 agent. But I still think like coin SI on turn 2 is just so damn good. How could we not have that in our deck, right?
Yeah.
Or backstab SI on turn 3 and kill something with 4 health is just insane. So
Yeah. So we've actually, I just slotted in the two SI7 agents and 2 ships cannon, so we already hit the midway point. We are at 15 of 30 cards. So just to recap, we have the Buccaneer in there for a must kill effect. We have the South Sea Deckhand with his charge and will be a good target for our Sharp Soda Oil combo. We have the Bloodsail Raider, going to get some weapon value. Ship's Cannon, we're going to get some pirate value. Everyone loves pirate value. 2 SI7 agents just because value.
Yeah, those SI7s are good.
Yeah, 2 Tinker Sharp Sword Oil because you're not a rogue without this card at this point.
Yep.
1 Assassin's Blade, just a 1 of, to give us a really high damage potential. Captain Greenskin to buff our weapon, and a Sky Captain Crag because why not?
Yep.
That's our reasoning for Sky Captain Crag right now? Is like, do we
Yes.
have another? He is a pirate.
Because he's a pirate on a parrot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he has charge no matter what. But if we could get I could see some
Wait, Dills, he has
game-winning
what?
plays. Yeah, he has charge no matter what. But I could see some game-winning plays where you do like South Sea Deckhand, prep oil, and then you play this guy too, like all in one turn, right? And that's a ton of damage. So there's a place here. Speaking of that, I think we should probably put prep in if we have oil, by the way.
I was
yes.
going to say, should we start talking about some of the spells that as a rogue we kind of have to put in? So we've got.
Are there any pirates we're missing first? Like, I think we might want to put one of the. What's the one that gets cheaper as like based on your weapon?
Based on your
Dread
weapon?
Corsair. So it's
yeah.
the 3/3 taunt. But I think we should play one of these because if we're buffing our weapons, this is a card that we might be able to get like protect a ship's cannon with. It can be really cheap, so it can allow us to like oil and start a combo. But I don't think you want 2 because it's a weak, it's a weak body in most cases. But it's a very strong play in some. So I would like 1 of those at least.
Okay.
And then it gives us 1 more pirate.
Yeah.
To activate our ship's cannons.
Yeah, because at the moment we have 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 pirates at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's good because if you look at dragon decks, a lot of them have like 8 dragons. Right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, somewhere between 8 and 10 of a theme I feel like is good. That tends to give you enough synergy with like, beasts, dragons, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's probably a good number for pirates. You don't want to overdo the theme.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you were mentioning, Jocelyn. Other than Tinker Sharp Soda Oil, because we already have that. What are the other like need to have rogue spells that we were going to include? We mentioned backstab, which is
backstab. I think goes in.
It's a kind of a no brainer, right? 2 of.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think eviscerate kind of it
Yeah.
has to be.
Also,
has to be.
absolutely 2 of. It's just too good.
And I think did we put the preps in? Because I think we need the preps too.
I don't
If we're gonna
believe
play
it.
the oils, I think we need the preps.
2 of prep as
Because-
well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deadly poison
2
Right.
of
To buff the
weapons.
weapon, yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
So that's
and blade flurry
2 of or 1 of.
2 of
Two
because
of.
that's like we're buffing weapons and this is gonna give
Mhm.
us this is AOE. Like I don't think we put in like a fan of knives.
No.
But I think
No.
we put in like blade flurries.
No.
Because
How
that's
are we
just,
doing for card draw? Do we have any at
Well,
all?
if we have prep, we can put sprint in because prep sprint is an amazing card draw engine to get through your deck.
I think a
But
1
how
of.
many cards are we at right
Yeah.
now?
We're at 26 of 30, so I think a 1 of on sprint. I don't think we need 2 sprints.
It's possible you want 2 if we don't have any other draw. If this is our only draw, you might want to run 2 just to make sure you get at least 1 of them during the game.
What are the
Otherwise,
other
I think
draws
you're gonna run
we
out.
would consider though? We basically an auctioneer or Azure Drake.
So Azure Drake, I think, would be the only thing I would consider as another way to draw cards, or maybe like Blood Mage Thalnos or something like that because of the spell power and
That's
the
true.
cheapness of it.
That's true.
But I don't know. Like, so what else? Like, I think we probably only want 1 sap, but I think you still want 1 to
I
get
was
to
going
like
to say,
a
what
contest.
about sap? Yeah, I think we need to have. Yeah, I think we need a sap.
Yeah, if you're running Tinker Sharp Soda Oil, if you have anything with charge, within this case we have 2 South Sea Deckhands and a Sky Captain Crag. Although
Right.
that'd be really late game if you're Tinker Sharp Soda Oil the same turn. But basically, if you're running Tinker Sharp Soda Oil, that's kind of your win condition. You're hoping that you get it to swing with it. You're hoping the buff goes on a minion they can swing face with. You need that sap to get through just in case, because that might be your only chance to win the game.
Yeah, but I think with the blade flurries, you are going to have a ton of burst damage, because you're going to be able to do things like South Sea Deckhand prep oil, attack, flurry, and it's like what Oil Rogue kind of does already, but we're just kind of altering the minion base a little bit and getting some pirate value for the early game.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing Oil Rogue kind of sucks at right now is like they sit back and they weapon up, and then on turn 4 or 5 suddenly they start doing stuff. We're going to be a much more proactive deck in the early game, but still have that finishing burst, I think.
Yeah.
With this type of thing.
I'm tempted to say Blood Mage Thalnos just so I can backstab off the first half of a piloted shredder.
It's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we
how
at
many
right now?
cards? How many cards do we have left?
We have literally 2 slots left at the moment.
Okay. And we
Can
have
I-
currently 1 sprint.
We have
Right.
one
sprint?
one sprint.
Okay. What's your suggestion, Justin? Let's hear this.
Well, what about, and I might be totally crazy, but what if we used Gang Up?
Gang up.
Because we've got a whole bunch of pirate synergy, but there's not a whole ton of really awesome pirates. Could we maybe throw in a Gang Up and maybe take out one of the less awesome pirates?
So get rid of Skycap and Crag.
The problem with this,
But
though, to
he's
me
the
is
like most awesome pirate.
All right.
you're not drawing them. You're just putting them in your deck, and I don't think you're going to draw through your deck.
Oh,
with
right,
this.
they go into your
They don't
deck.
go in your
Right, right,
hand.
right.
They go in your deck.
Right, I
So
thought they went in your
unless we
hand, and I
run-
was like, this would be so
Yeah.
good. You could have a gang of pirates, but never mind.
Yeah.
If we ganged up and had like 2 Cold Light Oracles and 2 sprints, and we knew we were always going to draw really deep in our deck, that would be kind of cool because you could choose like your highest level or highest value minion and get a bunch of them in your deck.
Can you imagine like later game ships cannon? Like if you already have one on board and you have like a bunch of the cheap pirates and you're just firing off 2 random
It's
damage,
super juggalo, man.
pirate after
Yeah.
pirate. Oh, beautiful. We need a
so-
pirate that summons other pirates.
We're missing card draw though, right? So what if we went
Yeah.
1 Blood Mage and 1 Azure Drake, and that was like our last 2 cards? Because I think with 1 sprint, we're gonna like lose a lot of games when we never draw a sprint because we're just gonna run out of cards. Because we have a pretty low curve right now.
Right. Right.
So
yeah.
we're gonna blow through cards pretty fast.
We have-
And
And from the
so
looks of it, not a lot of 3s, right?
Yeah, we only have 2 3
Um,
drops, and they are minions. They're SI7 agent. That's it. That's the only 3
Yeah.
drop we have currently.
but that's fine. Other than that, like you would put in like Earthen Ring Farseers, I think.
Yeah,
or
which
like a single Van Cleef or something like that. Because like the Oil Rogue, they play the Fan of Knives for like the cycle, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I guess we could throw in Burgles, just to make it look, pirates burgle.
Pirates, they do burgle.
I feel that's more like sacking, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean they board you, and then they steal your stuff. They pillage. They do all that,
So
I think I could get behind this.
just to reiterate it for those unfamiliar, Burgle, since I've never actually played this card, 3
This
mana
could be our own
spell.
fun little twist on it. We
Yeah.
got double burgle in this deck.
3 mana spell reads add 2 random class cards to your hand from your opponent's class, not from their deck, from their class. So it's like mini Nefarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone in
I
chat
could get behind
says
that.
Shady Dealer. We already talked about Shady Dealer. We're not putting Shady Dealer in, but yeah, I want burgle. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go burgle.
We're going 2 of Burgle and saying F card draw.
It is card draw.
It is, though.
But
'cause
it's
you
not
get 2 cards
synergistic. We're
for
not
3
getting
mana.
synergy though. Like we're not getting.
So sometimes we
Pirates
get
or-
Tyrion.
Oh, good God. Okay, so we're YOLOing Burgle.
YOLO burgle.
All right.
We gotta at least have some fun in our fun deck.
Okay,
right?
I want it noted. I greatly disagree with this, but I'm putting it in because I like
All
you
right.
guys.
If people try this deck out, which I will be trying this deck out, if people try this deck out and it sucks, you could take out YOLO Burgle and put in like double
Drake
Azure or Blood Mage Azure, something like that, and that'll be fine too,
All right.
I guess.
Okay, all right. I must protest then. If we're putting in Burgle, if I'm gonna roll over on Burgle, Skycap and Crag has to
No,
leave.
you leave my Sky
I'm,
Captain alone.
I'm sorry. All right, let's
No.
What do
Garrett?
you instead of make an argument for something else? What do you,
something
what do
that doesn't cost 7 mana because it's ridiculous.
Well, okay. What about Edwin Van Cleef as one more 3-drop?
I would take Van Cleef. I would
Hang
also.
on. He costs 1 less for each friendly pirate. So as long as we have friendly
assuming
pirates, which
you're-
all pirates are friendly, then we're gonna get a pirate riding a parrot. So screw you, Garrett. Leave him in there.
Wow.
Well, there's your other your tech choice. I actually think an Edwin would be a good replacement if you weren't going to run the Sky Captain.
Yeah.
Oh,
Edwin,
all right.
Edwin's fine,
All
but
right.
he's not.
All right.
he's
Well,
not fun.
if we play a game or two of this in the after show, I don't have Sky Captain Crag, so we're putting Van Cleef in there.
There you go.
But
So,
for the
well,
purposes
we should play some games of this.
for the purposes of the podcast, this is the Angry Chicken Pirate Rogue, folks. There will be a link to this deck list in the show notes. If you're watching live, it is not there. Show notes aren't up yet. Show isn't posted yet because you're watching it live. But podcast listeners, head on over to emove.tv/TAC. Look up the episode 108 post and find the deck list for the Angry Chicken Rogue.
Garrett, if you're actually linked into your Hearthstats account,
Mm-hmm.
you can export this deck straight to Hearthstats, and then it'll give you a link that you can use to share.
Snap. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We can figure that out after the show, but I can give you a link you can put in the show notes and all that stuff. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I'm
looking
excited about this.
Oh yeah, I was building it as we built it because I'm going to make this now.
I think
I also don't have Sky Captain, so Edwin Van Cleef.
I think
I might make him just because he's fun.
I think as it
Got enough
sits,
dust for a legendary.
I think as it stands, this is a pretty good deck, except for Sky Captain Crag and Burgle.
Yes.
Burgle and Sky Captain Crag are holding it back, but other than that, I think we kind of have a decent deck here.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we do. I think we could actually win with this deck. There's some people in chat are like, Burgle makes you lose tempo, blah, blah, blah. Look, we preface this whole thing saying we're not building a meta-breaking deck. We're building like a fun deck from scratch altogether. I think this was great. I had a great time.
This is amazing.
I had a good time, too. I hope our listeners had as good of a time. Write us and let us know, tacpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget, amove.tv/TAC number 108 post for the Angry Chicken Pirate Rogue. Now, it is time for this show to regain a sense of normalcy. I mean it this time, guys. Oh, wait, no, it's time for Crazy Game Stories. Ah, crap.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Ours today comes to us from listener Ben, who says, "Greetings, Hearthstone Dukes of Hazzard."
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah.
you know what? That makes sense.
You know, and
Two dudes and a chick. So Jocelyn's always wearing Daisy Dukes, right?
no,
Can
I
all
am.
assume?
I
can
am.
get behind that.
Hey, I am always wearing Daisy Dukes. Why? Why? Because she's the girl.
Sorry.
She gets to wear
We're always
the
doing
Daisy
crazy
Dukes, man.
jumps in our car and getting chased by like a guy, a fat like sheriff who eats a lot of chicken apparently. And yep, that's us.
I was
in a
going.
nutshell.
I was going to say that if we weren't the Dukes before, we really are now after that Pirate Rogue. Because if we take that thing on ladder, we're gonna have to start. We're gonna have to grow some wings or start flapping real quick.
We're gonna have our own crazy game stories by next week. We're gonna be like, we're not even taking crazy game stories because we got one for you guys. We burgled Tyrion.
Let us tell you what Burgle did for us. You would.
I'm super excited. I need some fun on ladder. I spent all last month trying really hard. I don't want to try hard this month. I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
Chat room saying me and Daisy Dukes is an image they did not need in their mind, but you haven't seen my thighs, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Yep.
They're breathtaking.
Anyway. Oh, jeez. Now I know.
I've seen them. I can say.
Shared one too many hotel rooms is what this adds up to. Anyways, Ben writes in and says, on the last day of the September season, I'm trying to get some last games in and make a final push. You know, keeping hope alive that anything could happen. Did I mention I'm ranked 10? I'm playing against a mech mage and I'm playing mid-range druid. Turn 2, he puts out a mech warper, which due to a poor opening hand, I'm unable to remove. Turn 3, he drops a shredder. I kill the warper, but of course that doesn't stop him from dropping a second shredder on turn 4. I'm able to kill the first, and out pops a Darnassus Aspirant. The following turn, I kill the second shredder, and out pops another Darnassus Aspirant. Killing both aspirants slows him down enough to make up for my poor opening draws. Incredibly, a couple of turns later, he plays a third shredder that he got off of an unstable portal. When I remove that, out pops Lorewalker Cho, which just tickles me as I fill his hand with a combo and hit for lethal. That's pretty gross.
That's pretty good. That's like, so yeah, Pilot Each Other is like the last card that's still in the meta that makes stuff like this happen, right? That's in like the top tier decks where you get Darnassus Aspirant, Lorewalker Cho. The Doomsayer is always a fun one when you get that and you have like a full board and you lose it next turn. But yeah, that was brutal, man. Double Darnassus.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're sitting out there and you're like, well, why does that happen? It's because Darnassus Aspirant only gives you a mana crystal when you play it from your hand because it's a battle cry. But a death rattle always happens unless it's silenced. So that's rough.
So, yeah,
By the way,
guy
I've had
lost 2 mana crystals.
Yep.
I've had a bunch of hunters play Freezing Trap into my Darnassus Aspirant lately, and I'm just like, thank you. That's free mana for me. Like, I'm totally okay with this. And I'm just like, I don't know if they understand how that works. I replay it for 4 mana later, and I get another mana. And it's just like, oh, all right. Mo mana.
Mo mana, no problems. Yeah. Yeah, that's,
when is someone going to make that, by the way? Mo mana, mo problems.
That's mo mana, no problems.
No problem.
There's no problems with having more mana.
But you got your problems are, what do I play with all this mana?
Yeah.
Someone needs to make that parody.
What a shame. You think they'll ever add a card that's like, it's somehow a detriment to your opponent if they have like X amount of mana? Like something targeted at ramp druids? Something that punishes.
Yeah. That's interesting. That we don't have a card that like steals mana from the opponent. We have cards that give mana and also, gimp your own mana. The Warlock 3/5 Taunter for 3 that destroys one of your mana crystals. That's an interesting idea. I would like to see that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. I mean, it'd be really hard to tune because it would be incredibly strong.
Yeah, it would have to be a really weak body or something because that's super strong.
Because
to be able to take a mana away from your opponent.
Team 5 has mentioned in the past that they don't like discard effects because it feels bad. It feels like you're not getting to play.
Yeah.
Getting a mana crystal destroyed would feel really bad.
So here's the thing. I think it would have to be like a mid-game card so that it doesn't happen at the beginning when that mana is like so important, right? Like if it was like a 2-drop, it stole your mana and then suddenly you were like a turn behind. But if it was a 6-drop, like it doesn't matter as much at that point because it's taking less of a percentage. It's 1 mana still, but when you have 7 mana, going down to 6 isn't as bad as going down to 1 from 2, right?
I think they'd have to give almost like every class the ability to really gain mana crystals the same sort of way that druids do, which then would make druid less special, I guess, as a class. Because if you've got something that you can put into every deck that destroys mana crystals, you have to give people a way to tech against that and recover.
I think it could be a class card. I think you could do it in like a shaman deck or something where you overload your opponent, essentially.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Because shaman
overloading would be
mana,
cool because overloading would only be for 1 turn, right?
Yeah.
It's not like permanently destroying. So yeah, that would be something I can see.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be a neutral thing because class cards can be kind of broken, right?
Why
so
the hell?
Kind of
why is that not a thing for shaman? Now that I think about that, it's just like why are the class playing the cards the only one that ever get like dicked by overload?
That's
a really cool idea.
That seems like the way you'd be able to balance it and tweak it and have more kind of control over how you tweak a card with that type of power.
Yeah. Because there's like you get a stronger body than the mana cost and then you overload. You get like a weaker body than the mana cost and overload your opponent, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I think you'd want to have this be like a 5 mana cost card or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I think shaman are kind of missing anyway. So.
And after last week, after finding out about Hearth Rank and their like single deck tournament structure with a sideboard and everything, man, like I'm all back on board. Like I just want to I want to go to BlizzCon with a make sideboard a rules flag or sign in the audience, like because let's think about it. You could in theory design significantly more interesting and significantly more targeted cards if sideboarding was a more regular thing in Hearthstone. Because Kazan Mystic is a really good example. The card's kind of terrible. Like, you shouldn't put 2 of in your deck. It's really specific. It's for a secret heavy meta. But if say the format for the Hearthstone World Championship had a sideboard, a card like that would see a lot more play, and it could shake things up. Like the same. We're talking right now about locking people out of mana or destroying a mana crystal. Imagine doing that before turn 8 against a patron, or on turn.
Yeah, take away a combo. That's it's huge.
Yeah.
Well,
that
it
could
would
be
the
something
same
that would
sort
bring
of an
shaman
idea.
back.
Yeah, it would be the same sort of idea as Lotheb, like something
Yeah.
that would affect for one turn, sort of a thing. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
What Lotheb does is affect only spells, right? So you could still
Yeah.
play minions and develop
Yeah.
tempo, but
Yeah, you could
something that locked out all mana for everything. You're
Mm-hmm.
preventing combos, minion plays. Like you could do it on like turn 6, so that on turn 7 a druid wouldn't be able to drop Ancient Allure and stuff like that. You could really you could target specific turns with it. It'd be really interesting.
And now that you said that, where's our Lotheb for minions?
Well, you have Mana Wraith.
Yeah.
Where's
There's your Lotheb for minions right there.
the key is that Lotheb is playable?
Yeah.
Well, so is Mana Wraith when it comes out of a shredder.
But if Mana Wraith was a 3-mana 3/3, I think people would play that.
Jocelyn, you forget. I'm going to see you in person very soon.
Someone in
gonna
chat
get smack, aren't I?
wants Sideboard explained. Sideboard is, we've been getting requests that sometimes we do this. We just say a word and we don't explain it. But
yeah,
It's been a while
sideboarding
since
is
we've had a definition show.
yeah. Sideboarding is you have like a main deck, and then you have like a certain amount of cards that you can have that after your game 1 against an opponent where you're doing like a best of 3 or something, you could take from like, let's say 5-10 cards, whatever it is. You have extra cards that you can then shuffle into your deck, like just swap them in and out.
And this really only works in like a single deck format. Because of that, because it makes it's kind of the way to keep a single deck format interesting. So if both opponents are using only one deck for a best of 5 series, they can, after their first game, they both have it's whatever the rules are. In the case of Hearth rank, I believe it's 10 cards. So there's 10 extra cards outside of your deck that you are allowed to slot in. You're allowed to take cards out of your deck and put cards from your sideboard into your deck in between games during a series.
Yeah. So there's a little bit extra counterplay in that you play your first game, you get an idea of what the other guy's deck does, and then you can kind of tech against it if you have those cards in your sideboard, those specific cards.
Yep.
And it's an interesting phase when you watch like a Magic tourney, like what they might put in and take out and stuff. And we haven't ever had that really with Hearthstone. Where the casters in between games are talking about what they might sideboard in and out. And I think it would be super interesting. So hopefully we get that someday soon. Like, come on, Kibler. You've been talking about it forever. Make it happen.
Yeah. Where's
He
that?
just hosted that tournament at the Esports Arena. They did the normal thing.
Yeah, the normal I've seen it a million times tournament. Yep.
Yeah, 601 with Druid. Yay.
Yay.
I sense some sarcasm.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get the idea. They're trying to keep it as close to ladder as possible. But if it's close to ladder as possible, Blizzard should be best of ones because that's what ladder is. Bam, smackdown.
Queuing to the
Salty
same
Garrett
freaking
is
guy
salty.
over and over again. Yeah.
Unless you're lucky or unlucky to queue into the same guy over and over again, and hope that he changes decks. Like if you won and you managed to keep your same deck, that would be the most realistic ladder experience that is the same as Conquest, which is ridiculous and never going to happen. But anyways, let's take some emails.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to the same place, tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first email today comes to us from John, who says, what are your thoughts on the fact that DraftKings, that online fantasy football league, is making it so you can do fantasy esports leagues? And I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, anything that helps the esports scene is, I think, good because we've got, like right now, we're on the cusp where esports is like really going to break in and be much more it already is mainstream for the younger audience, right? So anybody who's under the age of like, I don't know, 30 at this point is probably totally aware of esports and into it. And there's a lot of people older who are just hip, I guess you could say. And then there's the older people who like have no idea what the hell's going on. And maybe if it was in more places, if you were looking through your thing because you wanted to play some fantasy football, man, with my bros, I got my draft tonight, and then you're like, what is this, Dota? Like maybe it would bring some extra minds to recognize this as a legitimate thing.
Amazing.
That was my impersonation of random guy in a fantasy football league.
Yeah. So it's not really my thing, but I totally understand how this is interesting to people who do fantasy sports. Like, my cousin's a big sports nut. He's into all of this stuff. He has a fantasy league for every sport on Earth, and I'm pretty sure he has like a fantasy highlight team. But I was
Which
talking.
apparently is like the crookedest sport of all time. I don't know if you know that, but like that sport is built around people gambling on it and like the mafia taking a chunk. Anyway, yeah.
I didn't know. I tried to pull a really obscure sport from my memory.
Well, I just saw Black Mass, and the guy in the movie was like part of the Highlight League. Like he murdered the like new owner of the Highlight League because
God.
he wasn't gonna like let him take his cut.
So what you're saying is that that's everything you just said is true in Boston.
Yeah. Well, in Miami, but a guy from Boston.
Okay, gotcha.
It's complicated. It's Highlight. No one understands what's going on.
But yeah, no, this just went live. What is the date today? Today's the 5th. It went live on Thursday. It went live on October 1st, which was the same day the League of Legends World Championship started. And they kind of launched it in sync with that because their first esports league that you can do a fantasy league with is League of Legends. So it kind of has a heavy lean in that direction. DraftKings also sponsored Cloud9, SoloMid, Counter, Logic Gaming, SK Gaming, Complexity Gaming, and Mouse Sports as part of this. This was a huge thing. It all kind of rolled in, and the thing that was even bigger than this was the announcement that TBS is going to have professional Counter-Strike on cable TV next year, and it's all part of kind of the same thing. It's all from this company WME-IMG. And if folks want to hear me really ramble on about it, you should go check out the Daily Tech News Show, episode 2588.
Wow.
Yeah.
Screw us
Well,
in our
daily.
like couple of hundred episodes.
Well, you
daily
figure,
show.
yeah, it's a daily show. It's the Daily Tech News Show. So that's a lot of days, but you know, if you're doing it daily for multiple years, go check it out. It's with Tom Merritt and Justin Robert Young. Your date to the Hearthstone championship, Dills.
He's dreamy.
They were both on. We talked a lot about the
lucky.
TBS thing, but it's kind of rolled into the DraftKings thing. I think it's fine. It's totally great. I'm not a big gambler, so this
I
is
feel
gambling.
like this would make me a big gambler.
Well,
I think this is going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm not a big gambler because of my addictive personality to games. So
That's the thing.
Until they have
I've
like
done-
Hearthstone, it's not a problem for me. I don't know
Yeah,
anything
I've-
about CS:GO and Dota and LoL and all. I don't know who the best teams are.
right.
Yeah, I think once they get Hearthstone in there, and if they get Smite in there, I'm gonna have an issue.
It's
So,
interesting too.
I hope it takes a while. I want it to catch on for esports reasons, but I don't want it to catch on for my money
Jocelyn's
reasons.
pocketbook reasons.
Yeah.
You don't want it to become a thing for you, but you want it to become a thing for the community.
Exactly. I think it's good for the community at large, just not for me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
By the way, to anybody offended, I play fantasy football, so I am the
I've
guy.
played football before. It's fun. I like fantasy
I enjoy
football.
it. I
Actually,
was just
fantasy
making a
football is
joke
the
about
only one that I've ever actually really gotten into because obviously fantasy sports been around forever. But for whatever reason, football's always just pulled me in. But
If you
even
put
then,
the word,
like it's like little drafts at work or something. Like it's never online. It's never a super big kind of pool. It's always just like me and my friends
So, like-
throw
like-
in like $20,
like
and it's
pen
not
and-
a big deal.
so like pen and paper or a whiteboard or something at work.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's
See,
fun.
But then,
that's my
yeah, it's
problem
like,
with
this
it.
This is gonna be dangerous.
That's my problem with fantasy sports is if you put the word fantasy in front of something and I have to actually like write things down and use spreadsheets and whatnot, and I don't get to be an elven archer, I have no interest in your
Might as
paper
well be
and
playing Dungeons and Dragons. What the hell are we doing here?
yeah.
Wait, we're pretending to be football players? What? No, we could be elves, man.
That's me. That's me talking. I'm like, I can go outside and throw a football. I can't go outside and be an elf.
Exactly.
Okay.
I cannot cast magic missiles, sir.
You totally can go outside and be an elf. Just go LARP.
All right.
Fair enough.
Forgot about that. Sorry.
Oh crap, you're right. Yeah, shoot. But no, it's totally great. I think this is great. It's a huge step for esports. It's one more step to. I mean, like you said, Dills.
Mainstream
To
media.
us, it's already legitimized. But for the mainstream media, this is one more step towards legitimization for esports.
And one more nail in the coffin for Colin Cowcrap.
Yep. I just don't want to give that guy,
Whatever. I
any
don't even
more
care.
publicity. So,
I don't care.
anyways, Dills, who's our next email from? Please don't say Colin Cowherd.
This is from Robert, and this is a part 1. Hello, angry chick, and the other 2 guys too. Nice. I've been thinking about Rogue a lot lately and how it has seemingly been at the short end of the Hearthstone stick for a while. What would you guys think of a couple changes to the mechanics of the game to help build Rogue up a bit? First, what do you think of a stealth minion being able to bypass taunt? It would be more in line with rogues in WoW and their sneaky little selves always getting the best of me. Secondly, what if the rogue's hero power was changed? Make it something like give a minion stealth. Would this break the game, attack stealth, etc.? Or would it force other classes to rethink ways to deal with stealth? Even if the stealth bypassing taunt mechanic wasn't implemented, this would still be a decent hero power, don't you think? This would be a broken hero power,
Yeah,
I do
I-
believe.
I thought
There
the
are
cards
cards-
was a little bit much, but
There are cards that do really crazy things, and if you could never kill them, that would just be insane. Like if you could stealth Emperor Thaurissan at the end of every turn, and he would never die. Yes, you would be spending a lot of mana to do this, but then you'd have tons of extra mana in the next turn. The stealthies being able to bypass taunt is kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, from the constructs of like the way Hearthstone functions and the way they make changes to the game, I don't think you could make it stealth minions bypass taunt. I think you'd have to make a new keyword. I don't know, call it subterfuge or something like that. Something roguey.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so like some sort of like a way that they could be sneaky. I do think though that like Rogue's hero power is never going to change because like first of all that's never going to change because that is like that's a strong hero power first of all, and it is the basis around much of what Rogue does. I think what's really happening right now is Rogue is just missing maybe a couple of just straight up stronger minions that some of the other like other classes have things like a 5-drop that's a 4/6 with taunt or a 4/4 with charge, and that's crazy. Rogue doesn't kind of have that mid-game creature base that does something that is broken, right? So they're stuck with running like heal bots and Azure Drakes and things like that, so they get kind of outpaced. But I don't think you can go this way. This is too much. This is going too far, man. Robert, rein it in.
Also,
it's a cool idea. Cool idea.
I think it'll be a cold day in hell when we see any hero power change. Personally,
Yeah, I don't. I don't. If anything, we got to change the Warlock one first before we do anything else. But again, everything's built around that damn thing, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the stealth being more of a thing idea. Like Rogue does have the conceal, and that was at one time, Auctioneer conceal was like your huge play, and don't have that anymore. Those days are gone. It would be cool to see something bring that kind of back. Like we don't have any decks that actually utilize what's the 4-mana Master of Disguise, right? And it's weird that they have this thing and then it's not used at all, right? Like every other class's little thing is used, but Rogue has this thing concealed that just doesn't get used. So finding a way to make that better, I think that's a start.
yeah. I really like the idea of minions with some type of keyword that allows them to bypass taunt. I think that's super cool.
That is an interesting idea. Yeah. Well, right now we have the 50/50 guys. They can bypass taunt.
Yeah.
So-
we do have the ogres. Yeah.
But you never play those if you can help it.
Yeah, yeah. It's true. I mean, well, in Arena, the 3-cost 4/4 ogre is actually a really strong card because it's just a 4/4 on turn 3, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's not a card that you unless you play the Rogue Ogre deck. But
So unless you're
it's
you,
just bizarre. They also have the Ogre Ninja with stealth, and no one uses that either. Like that, all their stealth cards. We just talked about the pirate that they have. One-eyed cheat. Whenever you summon a pirate, gain stealth.
Don't use it.
No one uses that either.
No,
We were
yeah.
like, nope, don't want this one.
it's not gonna live long enough to gain stealth.
Yeah, there's too many ways to do 1 damage through stealth. So
Too many ways to deal 1 damage. Literally anything that deals damage.
yeah, it deals at least 1. That's correct. But I mean, I like the idea of thinking of what rogues need because rogues do need something. I'm not exactly sure what it is right now. They need like another archetype, and they just don't have. You can't really make. Hopefully, our pirate deck is going to just change everything. But
It won't. By the way, everyone, it will not. We're gonna have
I
a
really
good
want to
time.
try to make a sneaky rogue now.
We're gonna have a really good time.
Stealth everything.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great time not changing everything though. Just for the record.
Rogobot, the My Alarmobot rogue utilized stealth very very powerfully actually.
Nice.
Turn 3 Alarmobot
Rogobot?
conceal, or sorry, turn 4 Alarmobot stealth it, And then Alarmabot brings out Malagos, and then turn 5 you prep and Navis face for 9 and do all sorts of other crazy stuff, and yeah, kill him. It's pretty good.
Oh, that's amazing.
And just kill him.
Yeah. Turn 5 Malagos, really hard to deal with.
Thanks for your email, though, Robert.
Yeah. We got more from him.
Oh, you're right. This
I
is
know.
part 2.
Yeah, no,
Jocelyn.
it was a huge email.
Jocelyn, take part 2.
All right, so this is part 2 from Robert. He says, I consider myself a casual player, aspiring, but definitely not pro. I don't have a full collection, no Dr. Boom or BGH yet, and this has become painfully obvious as I try to climb the ladder. My issue/question is about brawls. I have the most fun in brawls where the decks are pre-constructed. I feel it evens the match out a lot. I hate going in for a fun brawl match to end up facing some deck with a bunch of legendaries in it. Kind of ruins it for me. I think all brawls should be pre-constructed decks. Thoughts? Thanks, guys, and keep up the great work. I know.
No.
I know you guys hate
Damn
this
it,
idea,
Robert.
but
No, no,
it's
I.
kind of interesting because we're kind of getting to the point in Hearthstone now that if you've been playing since the start, you're very likely going to have a few legendaries, and we see this from people who are just starting to pick the game up now. Same complaint for casual, same complaint for kind of ranks 25 to kind of 17-ish, where you think all the new players should be. And they go in and they play, and then there's people dropping all these legendaries, and it's just like, well, how did that even happen? Like, I don't have any legendaries yet. So I can kind of see from a new player standpoint where someone doesn't have a lot of legendaries and a lot of tools in their kit, where Brawl is supposed to be fun, that can end up making things not fun. Because we've talked about pre-constructed Brawls before where you kind of like after the first day or two, pretty much everyone is running the same Druid deck or everyone's running the same Warlock deck. And it's like, well,
but is it the legendaries that are making that suck, or is it?
no,
like,
that's not necessarily
No,
legendaries.
I hear this
but
a lot. Like,
Yeah.
then they dropped all these legendaries, and like I always hear that. And I'm like, the legendaries aren't OP. Some of them are really good, but
some of them are terrible.
they're balanced, And
Yeah.
like, outside of like Dr. Boom or like Tyrion, there's no like big legendary cards. Like, oh man, I can't deal with that with all my regular cards because it's like, yeah, you drop Tyrion, and then I have a card called Polymorph, and it's like, boom, you're done, and that's a common card. So I always hear this. I'm just like, no, that's not the way. That's not the problem.
It's not the legendaries. It's not the legendaries that are the problem. It's the.
I think it's just having a full collection or a
feeling you don't have
useful
cards. I
collection.
understand.
Yeah, because it's not
I
necessarily
understand.
always legendaries, but just like, I mean, he even mentioned BGH. Like that's a very common
It's an epic.
card. Yeah, and that's an epic. Yeah, so I think it's more just having more tools available to you, and if you don't have those, you now have, when it's a pre-constructed brawl, you have, kind of one more game mode that you feel like you can't compete in. And I get how that can feel bad for a new player.
No,
I totally get it. I totally understand. But the problem I think here is that if you got rid of the other ones, you're getting rid of a pretty fun chunk of gameplay for a lot of people who like me, who really like that. And I think Brawl should I like the way they kind of go back and forth. I think that's a good way to do it. You don't have to play it past one game. You get your one win, or past one win. It might take you a few games. But you don't have to play it past the one win if you really aren't having fun. And you can get a win just by... A lot of times people just concede in Brawl when they start to lose a little bit. So if you just play like a fast deck, you might just win a Brawl. Like in a pre-constructed one. Just build a really fast deck. And then they get behind a little bit and they're like, screw it, I'll go to the next one.
Yeah.
And that'll get you your win. And then wait for the... I agree with it that the pre-constructed ones are really fun, though. On board with that. But I like the other ones, too.
Yeah. No, I see his point, too. I was booing just to kind of rip on him. But no, I like where it's at, where both types of players get something that they hopefully enjoy. I'm sure, there's probably somebody out there who has every card in the game who doesn't enjoy the constructed brawls.
Yeah.
They're weird. Sorry if you're that person listening. But at the moment, I feel like Brawls, I don't know. I feel like it appeals to a vast majority of Hearthstone. And I think it's a good place
I think it's
for
in a
it to
good
be.
place. Yeah.
Damn it, Dills. Words out of my mouth.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Brawl's in a good... We all agree.
Yes.
Huzzah! Kalu Kalay.
Someone get the timestamp.
What?
Timestamp of
We
the
all
episode
agree.
because we all agree.
This
Oh.
Yeah.
And a notary.
And then do a supercut where to the first episode where Dills and I were just crapping all over Brawl, and it's like, look at these guys flip flop on their Hearthstone
totally
agenda.
flip-flops. Yep,
Yeah.
I totally flip-flop.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's because
I admit it. I'm a flip flopper.
I change my opinion based on how things actually are.
Yeah, I learned more things about a thing, and it made me
Changed
think
your
about it
mind.
differently, and then I changed my mind.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it turns out, guys, Brawl's pretty damn fun. Just no more web spinner Brawl, please.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we can't have tournament mode too. Yeah, I got that.
I
There
gotta
you go.
get that jab. Get that jab.
Go back.
And now I'm on sideboards, and Jocelyn wants 4 slots dedicated to Eye for an Eye. I don't know. What's the thing you've been harping on, Jocelyn?
I want tournament tools.
Ah, there you go. All right.
See?
Cool.
We all agree again. Oh God.
Oh my God! It's almost like we do this show because we actually like each other.
No, that sounds wrong.
Okay.
No. Okay. Yeah, it's totally strange. It's totally strange. All right, that's gonna do it for this week's show. Actually, oh my God, guys, are we coming in under 90 minutes instead of grossly over
are.
90 minutes?
Yeah, we did it.
This feels
Shocking.
kind of.
We'll have some time to actually play this pirate deck. Man.
I know it'll be nice. Check out the after show, patrons. It'll be up tomorrow for you, but if you're watching live, you get to check it out right now. Thanks again to our patrons, by the way. You can become a TAC patron by going over to patreon.com/TAC. They get access to the Skype account. They get the after show first. They get all the extra stuff first. That's what the patrons get. But the show will always continue to be free, so don't feel like you have to be a patron. But if you like the show and you want to support us, that is how you can do it. Also, if you're leaving us reviews in the iTunes store, that helps the show out quite a bit as well, and we really do appreciate those. So this week we want to thank, hey, it's the dude. Thank you to Powder Keg. Hey, dude. Not my most favorite early '90s Nickelodeon show, by the way. Hey, dude, not the best, not the best. Thank you to Tatted Geek. Thank you to Highwind. Thank you to Rum Monkey. Thank you guys so much. Some great names in here this week. The Angry Chicken is produced by amu.tv, frogpants.com, and our Patreon producers, Declan H, LVE, and Topher L. Past live shows and other videos can be found on youtube.com/amutv. Our t-shirt is on slashloot.com, and you can follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast, on Facebook /amovetv, and on Reddit at tacpodcast.reddit.com. Catch us live Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv or on alphageekradio.com, and check out briangriffithmusic.com because he made our intro music and it is awesome. Dills, where can folks find you?
First of all, just on the subject of the TAC Podcast Reddit, it's really cool, and shout out to Mr. Brisky, our new mod, who like totally reworked it and made it look awesome. So thank you to him because it's badass, man. Good job.
It's sexy. You can say it. It's sexy. It's okay.
Yeah. It's really nice. It's really, really nice looking now. So go check it out if you haven't been there in a while. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Willie Dills. Check out my stream, twitch.tv/WillieDillsSF. Also, the Instance records on Fridays, and that is the World of Warcraft podcast. And Stormcast is on Sundays at 8 p.m., and that is a Heroes of the Storm podcast. So check out all those things.
Awesome. Jocelyn, what about you?
Best place to find me is over on Twitter at JossPlays. It's the same as my Twitch channel. I've been streaming a whole lot lately, so come and check that out. Also, do the Gamers In right here on AMove TV every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we do Gamers In Game Night on Thursdays, where we play games with our patrons and the rest of our community. It's a lot of fun, so check that out.
Woohoo! I don't know why I did that. You can follow me on Twitter at
I appreciate the enthusiasm.
It's nice. We should be enthusiastic for each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and woohoo to Dills' stuff, too. You're going to be in a golf
woohoo to
magazine,
you
I
too,
heard.
Garrett.
He hasn't done it yet, Dills. He hasn't done it.
Well, preemptive woohoo.
Okay, cool. What if I just pimped? Now I'm launching the Anti-Dills podcast, a podcast where we talk nothing but
I
crap about
reserve
Dills.
my right to take back my woohoo. All right?
All right, fine. I respect that right. You can follow me on Twitter at GarrettArt. I'm over at nomoonart.com. That's my graphic design portfolio. That's also where you can contact me if you want a graphic designer. Check out Into the Nexus, another Heroes of the Storm podcast, and The Angry Nerd over at amove.tv/Angry Nerd. That's my solo show. I should be recording a new episode tomorrow, providing no unforeseen wedding stuff comes up, which has been happening a lot lately.
I was like, is he done? Is he done?
All right. Thank you. Great. Awesome.
Can we get that guy in there with the, what is it, the stamp or whatever? Stamp my woohoo. It's official. I've passed my woohoo on to you guys.
Somebody
The notary?
Yeah, the notary. Can we get that notarized? That woohoo?
Can someone please get me a sound clip of Dill saying, stamp my woohoo? Thank you. Good night. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, by the way, doghousesystems.com. The code TAC will get you a free solid-state drive added onto your gaming rig, and it will support the show directly in the process. So go check them out. We thank them for their support. We thank you for listening. And until until Thursday, when we do our Brawl episode for this week. Thanks again, patrons, patreon.com/TAC. Until Thursday, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!
Woohoo!